Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to another humdinger edition of Wake Up Nigeria.
Humdinger, where did you pull that word from?
I pulled it from the heart.
It's definitely our Wonder Woman Wednesday edition as we take over the airwaves, adding some panache and glamour to your TV screens.
Now, what you have been up to is what I'm actually wondering at. Are you working towards achieving those goals you set out for yourself at the start of the month? Are you still working at them? I know today is the 13th, but then for most people by 13th of the month, it's today 14th?
Yeah, 14th.
Are you sure?
Yeah, yesterday was my birthday, 13th, so I know it's
Oh yes,
14th.
your birthday is on Friday, so today is definitely 14. And I shouldn't miss out 14 every month though, because 14 is my day, it's my number.
It's your number, all right. Whether you definitely have or not, we're definitely here to remind you to keep pushing. Now, you may not be able to go back and make a brand new start, but then again, you can at least start right now from where you are.
That's right. And of course, we're not alone. We've got Titi in the kitchen. She's already pulling some dance moves there.
Yeah. It's going to be a wonderful Wednesday on Wake Up Nigeria. You see what I did there?
Yeah, of course.
WWW. Wonder Woman Wednesday is always fun when the ladies are in the building. And apologies for starting a little bit tardy. Yeah, but we're going to head straight into the show now.
All right. Okay, so let's tell you what we have in stock for you today. My name is Mary Bashua Alimi.
And I am Winfrey Agbelishi. Now remember, you definitely keep on following us on social media, send your comments. We definitely love to hear from you. Remember the hashtag, it's WakeUpNigeria on TVC.
Yes, and follow us across all social media platforms using the @TVC Entertainment _, okay?
Yes,
of course. You can watch us on Facebook, you can watch us on YouTube.
X,
yes, just find us at TVC Entertainment, all right? So to what we have in store for you, well, could you tell us?
We have nutrition. Of course, Nneka Ogboy, definitely an advocate for child nutrition. She has been here for 2 weeks now. I think 2 weeks now, and today she will be talking about something very important, right? How to minimize waste when it comes to having foodstuffs at home. That's something I actually need to learn on. So yeah, of course, she'll be here. We're having that interesting conversation.
Time for the news update on Wake Up Nigeria. I am Mary Bashua Alimi. Now, President Bola Tinubu has gotten a vote of confidence from the National Council of State, which comprises all former heads of state alive, the 36 state governors and the Minister of the FCT, the Attorney General of the Federation, all former Chief Justices of Nigeria, the Senate President, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The Council also condemned any call for unconstitutional change of power in the country. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde tells us more.
The first Council of State meeting conveyed by President Bola Tinubu in the life of his administration. Also the first time former President Muhammadu Buhari will return to the council chambers of the presidential villa, where he once sat to preside over crucial matters of the country. But beyond the roll call of members that constitute the Council of States, critical matters that portray the state of the nation were discussed. The council condemned the violence that marred last week's nationwide protests. They also commended Nigerians for resisting the manipulations of some elements pushing for unconstitutional regime change.
After the NSA's briefing, generally he allayed everybody's fears and spoke on the tightness of the security around the country, and also reassured all and sundry that nobody will be allowed to truncate our hard-earned democracy.
Overall, President Bola Tinubu got thumbs up from the Council of State. His reforms and policies, though yet to fully manifest, are being implemented in the interests of Nigerians.
There was an executive session between members of the Nigerian Governors Forum and Mr. President. And frank and fruitful discussions were held between both parties. And I'm glad to say we're on the right track.
The coordinating minister of the economy reported an optimistic economic outlook, but pointed out President Bola Tinubu's dissatisfaction with the high inflation.
In broad terms, the economy is growing. The balance of payments, in particular, the trade balance and the current account balance, are in surplus. The exchange rate is stabilizing. And inflation, though high, uncomfortably high for the liking of Mr. President and his team, it is slowing and it is set to fall.
The governors later met privately with President Bola Tinubu on the sidelines of the Council of State meeting to discuss some undisclosed issues. The last time the Council of State meeting was held was in February last year in the build-up to the general election. The unanimous vote of confidence passed on President Bola Tinubu by the Council of States and the Nigeria Governors Forum may be a much-needed encouragement as his administration continues to implement necessary economic reforms that the government says will improve the well-being of citizens. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Now, the Vice-Chancellor of Ekiti State University, Ado-Ekiti, Professor Edward Olanipekun, has revealed that the federal government's student loan scheme is a game-changer for indigent students and the nation's education sector. While commending President Bola Tinubu for the initiative, the Vice-Chancellor noted that the scheme would in no small measure help indigent students of the university meet their financial obligations towards having quality education. Professor Olanipekun, who spoke on Tuesday while addressing newsmen as part of activities marking the end of his 5-year tenure as the 8th substantive VC, noted that the scheme would afford indigent and less privileged students, who he said are in the majority in the university, to have access to funds.
The issue of students' loan, of course, is a welcome development. Our students in NEXU have been enlisted, and what we are doing at the moment is to vet the list of the enrollees, and as soon as that is completed, that issue of vetting, so that there are no strange names, and also ensure that there are the names or the particulars provided.
All right, at this point, we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll give you the sports news. Do stay with us. So really, there's actually so much to talk about today. And incidentally, what we had in mind is something that also, they actually coincide because it has to do with careers and all. So first off, I would like us to touch on the story that is currently trending of someone, you know, she's a caterer, and then a friend contracted another caterer, knowing that she's a caterer, contracted someone else to prepare, you know, food for an occasion. And unfortunately, that caterer messed them up. And then last minute, after she messed them up, they are coming to her to save the day. And so she's asking, should she do it or should she not? Now, I'm just going to ask you first, Titi. Should she do it or should she not?
So it really just depends on how strong that friendship, that relationship actually was to you, not to your friend, to you.
That was to affect whether she should do it or she should not do it.
Yes. Okay. So I'm like, you know what, it depends on how much this person really means to me. Whatever this occasion is. Imagine if it was maybe a child's birthday party or a wedding or something so deep that is going to affect this, you know, person really, really harshly if they don't get this catering done. I would think about that. I would actually overlook the fact that I was a second choice, you know. They say a king is never really appreciated in his own home. They always say that. But the issue is, it's always delicate bringing your friends in to do stuff for you. Because if the tables were turned and it was her friend that messed up, that would have really scattered the friendship.
Exactly. It could get really emotional.
Yeah, exactly. So it really just depends. How big or how good of a friend are you? Can you overlook the fact that you were chosen second? You know, can you overlook it? That's my question.
I'm wondering at you. No, you. I asked the question.
Save me. To be very honest, I've been in this kind of situation in different dimensions.
Really?
So let me even say, in fact, I've even been the one selecting. Okay, let me put this out there, right? So for my wedding, I have a friend that literally stood by me all through MBGN.
Oh,
So
wow.
she literally made all my outfits. We went to the
Wow.
market together. We were in the house together, sewing the outfits together.
Wow.
When it was time for my wedding, I picked somebody else. Yeah.
Okay.
And she was pained.
Wow.
And something about her, she won't
back.
hold back.
Yeah,
She
she told you.
And to be honest, at that point, I'm like, I know the way I can be.
Okay.
And this is my wedding, and you are my friend, and you're one of my bridesmaids. I don't want, do you understand? I'm
Yeah.
like, this friendship means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Right? I'd rather deal professionally with whoever is making my dress,
Yeah.
sentiments aside,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you nonsense. Do you understand? So that it won't be. And it's fun because she kept on, and to be honest, I thought about it, I prayed about it, and I was just settled in the fact that, you know what, someone should handle it. And as God will have it, she eventually now happened to do her wedding a week before mine. She
Wow.
was making all her dresses.
Seriously, her own wedding was a week before yours.
Her birthday is actually a week before mine.
So how
her
was
wedding
she supposed to
Exactly. So
manage
she
all
didn't know that
pressure?
yet. It was just all of a
Oh.
sudden. And I'm like, oh, wow, sure you can see. So I was even moving in the spirit. I didn't even know. Do you get? So it all made sense eventually. So, I mean,
Mary.
So for me, let's just say I'm used to it.
Okay.
So because I've realized that people always look at people that are closer home as plan B.
Yeah, wow.
And I do not see that as a bad thing. Plan B in the sense that they always look at you as a fallback plan.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say you have an event center, for example. Your friends know you have an event center. They'll say, okay, let's try somewhere else now. If that place is not there available, if you go our own place. You are usually the plan B for things. And it might seem like, oh, come on, why would you allow yourself to be plan B? But hey, people have a right to choices, and people like varieties. So if someone decides they want to try different things and other things, don't hold it up to them. Your friend that is saying that, oh, the catering stuff, wants to make the food. So if, for example, now, your friend now tells you, okay, please do this. As long as the budget can cover it, to me, I feel you should still be able to come through.
So the only issue is, so yes, as a friend, I know I will definitely come forward and be like, yes, I'll do it. However, my fee might just go up.
Oh, please, that might be why your friend didn't patronize you in the
No,
first place. What
no,
if you were more
because
expensive?
I'm going out of my way. It wasn't part of my plan. It wasn't part of my schedule, and I'm going to have to go and I'm going to need to prove
Then
a
should
point.
we look for somebody
This
else
has
that
happened
can
to
still
need a
come
point.
through
This has
within
happened.
the budget?
No,
this has happened
seriously.
with me.
Yes.
For even my own personal
Bring
project.
the money up so
If I
that
just-
next time you remember me first.
What did I
Think
do?
about
So
it.
For Rams and Runway, in the
okay.
early years, should I say our team, let me not say my husband. Our team literally contracted a foreign person to host the event. Paid the babe fully. The girl didn't show up.
Wow. Oh,
Did she
And
refund?
all along I was refund awards.
wow.
Till date.
All along I was, look,
Yeah.
I said, okay, I know you know, last minute, he was not telling me, okay, sure, you just, I said, when I did Shakarasha,
Of course.
he beg, and I said, okay, let's not be as if I'm wicked and all of that. Since that till now, however,
But I hope you charge proper.
it was my husband.
As in, I was about to say that.
I
like,
said
oh, well.
begged. If I say
Oh,
begged,
well.
what-
These things happen,
is-
really. I
Yeah,
see,
it
There's a
happened.
reason why the person didn't come to you. Probably your price was already premium and they know you can deliver, but
Not even that. I just also feel
was
that that's
more
also an
affordable.
opportunity for me to come through for you as a friend.
Yeah.
To be honest. I don't see it as any. So last minute, okay, I'm sure you forgot I was here
so
before.
exactly, you just,
So it's
you
just,
exactly, you just maybe rake or
Yeah.
something. But that's my own personal thought. So, I
So
feel
Mary,
these
those
things
trainers
happen.
that I bought, I didn't know you were still selling them.
Oh, Lord.
I bought it somewhere.
imagine.
See, this is confession.
I've confessed it.
I sell shoes,
On
so
this
everybody
table.
sees it on my status. So
Yes.
sitting and started
I
buying
saw
some shoes.
Yeah, imagine.
And I was saying, when did you buy this one?
You're
Because I know I
dragger.
didn't sell this one to you. She said, I did not know you were still selling. You don't know I was selling what. Something that is always on my status. No wahala. But let's take this break. You're watching Wake Up Nigeria. We'll be back soon. Stay with us. All right, so it's time for some tech conversation here on Wake Up Nigeria. Our guest today is Oluwatoyin Olufon. She is the CEO of the Techie Accountant and Lifort Consulting, and she's also the convener of Account Tech. I'm sure I got that right?
Yes, you did.
Account Tech Summit.
Correct.
Awesome. Good to have you in the studio with us this morning, Toyin.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here.
Yeah. So when people talk about different, when you talk about different occupations, it's usually difficult to marry them both together. accounts tech, medical tech, but we are having a lot of that these days because technology is now surpassing all professions. So I'm wondering, the combination account tech, how does that work?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Thank you. And just as you rightly said, technology is actually changing the way we work in every industry.
Yes.
And accounting and finance is not left behind. You know, I'm so happy to see a lot of SMEs right now in Nigeria embracing accounting software, the use of accounting software for their business, for them to be more effective, to be able to collect their data, to gain insight, and to have their financial reports, you know, at their fingertips so that they can make informed decisions. However, account tech is also evolving beyond that now. Just as we say, technology is, well, I say it's on a rapid change, right? And there are other aspects of accounting and finance as well that technology can enhance, can empower, can make people to be more efficient, right? And I'm hoping that that's one of the things we'll be discussing mainly during the summit. And that's also one of the key things that I do as well, my work. Yes.
So you trained as an accountant?
Yes, I actually have an academy. We have an academy called the Techie Accountants Academy, where we train finance professionals at all levels of their career for global dominance through practical training, shared knowledge, and cutting-edge mentorship.
So how did you make that decision, or rather, how did you even get into tech as an accountant yourself?
That's a funny story. But so when I just left the university, you know, as a young graduate trying to find my footing, I was already chartered in the UK. I was a chartered accountant in the UK. But then I was still not clear on what I was going to do. So I dabbled into STEM education. I co-founded another NGO with a friend, and we're promoting STEM education. I learned how to code using Scratch programming. You know, I could do a few things. I would travel to even neighboring towns in Abuja, Suleja, Abaji, Kwali to go and teach students, yes, how to use Scratch programming to code to develop their games. So that really fascinated me, right? Then eventually when I decided that, okay, I still want to be a finance professional, I don't want to dive into core tech, right? So I found a way to merge tech, you know, into accounting, into my first love. And yes, that's what brought about all this.
Wow. Okay, so I know you're having a summit. Tell us more about that.
Oh, great. The Account Tech Summit is first of its kind in Africa. It's an international summit that is bringing together speakers, thought leaders from everywhere around the world. It's bringing together entrepreneurs that are doing fantastic jobs, you know, as a way to inspire and empower finance professionals, stakeholders, and even entrepreneurs, you know, to know how they can maximize the use of technology in their business and how it also relates to our work in the accounting and finance industry. You know, I think that there's an enormous opportunity for our country, Nigeria, if we're able to harness the human capital that we have and leveraging on technology. You know, just I think 2 weeks ago I was reading and I saw that there's actually a shortage of accountant finance professionals in the US. Now, I know what is commonly known is the shortage of programmers, of, you know, core technology individuals, right? And it's also a trend right now whereby you have people working in Nigeria, wherever they work for organizations abroad. But most of them are usually the core tech guys, the programmers. Now, what people don't know is that that shortage also exists in the finance industry. So you can imagine if our workforce is empowered, you know, with the right skill, with the right competence for them to be able to compete globally. You can imagine
the opportunities.
Exactly. You know, so what that means also is that the kind of revolution we've seen in the tech space, whereby the programmers can work with organizations in the US, can also happen in the finance industry. Because there's the need for it at the moment, and that's what that's the gap we are trying to fill, and we've been able to do that successfully. We have a few techie accountants that have passed through our trainings, passed through our academies. We've empowered them with the right skill, the right mindset for them to compete globally, and they're residents in Nigeria. However, they work with companies in the US, and as accountants,
as accountants.
Correct.
Not as part-time jobs or full-time jobs, like they're fully employed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this summit, what should anybody who is watching now and wants to be a part of it, what should they expect from it?
It's going to be a lot of information empowerment, right? It's going to be inspiring because we are bringing people, even finance professionals that are in this domain as well. They are not just, they are walking the talk. Yes. So it's important that other professionals, they see that this is what is happening, like it is achievable. It's not just essay. It is not just, you know, a make-wish, right? But it's something that can really, really happen for them. You know, also for her, we want to, for entrepreneurs that will attend as well, they will get to understand better the emerging technologies that is changing the accounting and finance industry. Remember that they say that information is power. When you know something, when you understand something, you are able to know how you can put it to use, how you can, you know, make the best out of it, right? And these and many more are things that the people will get from the summit. We also have the award and recognition segments, you know, during the summit. We have the fireside chats where we'll be discussing about game changers in the finance and game changers, in the U.S. and the Nigerian finance sector.
Okay. Is this summit open to the public? How can someone watching now be a part of it?
It is open to the public. It's happening on Thursday, on the 15th of August at 4 Point Hotel in VI by 9 a.m.
Okay.
Yes, so come along and have a good time.
All right. I do know you mentioned that the MD of TVC is also a part of it.
Yes, the MD of TVC, the group.
Okay.
The group CEO,
Yeah.
she's part of it, and she's the one that's in person of Mrs. Victoria Ajayi.
Oh, right, the CEO
Yes,
herself. Okay.
it's the CEO herself. She will be the one moderating the fireside chats.
Nice.
And it's going to be explosive, I have no doubts, because she's full of so much wisdom and power.
All right, looking forward to that one then.
Same here, I am. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Okay, at this point we have to take a break. You're watching Wake Up Nigeria. Just stay with us.
Welcome back. It's been a wonderful, wondrous Wednesday right here on Wake Up Nigeria, I have to say. We're going to have a quick look at what's happening on the covers of the newspapers this morning. We have The Guardian with us. It is Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. It says here, National Health Insurance Act, 2 years after. States under all as 90% of Nigerians still pay out of pocket. There is an infographic there showing the cost of healthcare being up by over 200% in the last 1 year, with most Nigerians unable to pay out of pocket, as I said earlier. And there's some other alarming numbers there as well. Reps unbraid WAEC for failing to account for 5 billion naira worth of calculators. We have here Benue farmers panic over persisting drought. 16 die, 17 injured in Ibadan multiple road crash. Chairman affirms 26th embattled Rivers lawmakers as APC members. On customs, Nigeria's food imports surge 95.28% to 920.54 billion naira in Q1 of 2024. Manufacturing FMCG firms post 25% year-to-date losses as demand plummets. And EFCC stakes 50 billion naira in NEL fund, warns against abuse of fund. That's what we have on the cover of The Guardian. We still have some other newspapers here with us. We have the Nigerian Tribune this Wednesday. Constitution review, reps to move reduced cost of elections, push for conduct of all elections in 1 day. Page 11 has more on that. Finance Minister leads strategic meeting on NNPCL crude sales in Naira. Local government autonomy. Osun Assembly passes amendment bills. Alleged land grabbing. Ogun Assembly recommends suspension of traditional ruler. On Lagos-Ibadan Expressway accidents, 16 killed, 17 injured in Ibadan, 12 burnt to death in Ogere. Apparently, 6 children lose parents, and Ibadan residents lament incessant accidents in the same spot. Call on federal government to speed up work on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That's on a sad note. We wrap it up there. If you would like to find out more, just grab one of these papers as you're moving around today. All right, we're taking a quick break. There is more. Stay with us.
Thank you so much for staying with us on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday edition of Wake Up Nigeria. It's, of course, a Wednesday edition, and we have nutrition for you. And returning for the second time right here on Wake Up Nigeria, I have with me Nneka Ogboy, who is an advocate for child nutrition, is the visionary founder of Mashed Baby Food and 100% natural baby food, company dedicated to crafting wholesome complementary meals for infants and toddlers. Welcome back to Wake Up Nigeria. And of course, today we're talking about what are some practical tips for reducing food wastage at home. And I think this is a very, very important topic, considering the price of food, also considering the light situation. So we definitely need to have those tips on how best to conserve as much as we can and preserve, of course. Welcome back to Wake Up Nigeria, as I said.
Thank you very much for having me back.
Okay, so now tell me, what are the first tips? What are the first tips we need to know?
Yes, very important, because food waste is something that affects even households. So many times when we talk about food waste, people always think about, the farmers on an industrial level.
Yes.
But you'll be surprised to know that even in families, we end up wasting a lot of food.
A lot of food.
And just like you said, with the price of food now, you can't afford to keep wasting. I saw a journal a few days ago by MDPI where it says that families waste up to 7% per month.
Wow.
So if you put that all together in a year, you can actually feed your family for an additional month.
Wow.
That's how much food you're wasting.
You actually waste. Well, I remember growing up and my mom literally she talks about how, oh, don't waste. God doesn't like waste. Doesn't have. So tell us, let's start with the first tip. What was the first tip you'll give us on how to preserve food?
Definitely. So first and foremost, planning. I'm a big fan of planning, because when you plan, you can really plan for the things that you want to buy.
Sometimes you plan, and me, at the point, you really don't feel like eating what you planned for.
In this economy, sometimes you have to, stick to it. But if you can't, at least it's in the plan. So if you don't feel like it today, you might feel like it next tomorrow, right? So planning is always a good first step. But then going further than that, you have things like proper storage. That's a big part of reducing food waste. So in the economy right now, people are trying to get bargains. So you buy in bulk so that you can get discounts. But if you're not able to store those things properly, they end up going to waste. You lose your money, you lose your produce. It's a lose-lose situation all around. So being able to store properly. How can you store your foods properly? For example, leafy vegetables are best stored where there's reduced moisture. So you want to wrap it in either paper towel or an old newspaper before you put it in the fridge. You don't have to wash it before doing that. When you want to use it, you wash it and then use it, because that moisture is what makes it go bad faster. If you buy tomatoes when it's in season, you can blend, steam, blend, and freeze, right? So it takes up less space in your freezer, and it can last for as long as 6 months to a year. So you're good storing
as long
properly.
as it's frozen.
As long as it's frozen, exactly. So practical tips or practical ways that families can preserve food, usually by freezing if you have access to steady power supply, or drying. Drying is a very popular way as well. And then as an individual, when you go to shop, if you're shopping in an open market, the people you're buying from are very experienced with the goods that they're selling. Talk to them.
Ask them.
Ask them, what's the best way that I can keep this fresh? Because they don't throw their goods out after 2 or 3 days. They know how to keep those things. So it's important that you start to have these conversations so you don't throw the food out as well. Yes, so planning and then proper storage, very important. Another thing that's very good is being creative with your recipes. I mean, you made rice and stew yesterday. That leftover rice can turn into fantastic fried rice tomorrow.
I'm telling you.
You don't
and it's
have
even
to
better when the rice is actually true, a day old.
It tastes better. Even the yam that you boiled yesterday can turn into fried yam today or yam potato. So don't throw away leftovers. You can repurpose them into creative recipes that you can still enjoy as a family. Also, for example, I hear parents, because I'm focused on children, right? I hear parents say, oh, I want my kids to eat more fruits, but when I buy a whole watermelon, by the time we take one slice, it's going bad, it's too ripe, and all of those things. Fruits are one thing that should never be thrown away. You can literally freeze those and then use them later. a fantastic way is smoothies, right? Yes. I dare any parent listening to me right now, take a banana, any other frozen fruit of your choice, put some milk in there and blend it, give it to your child. 9 times out of 10, they love it.
Will take it, true.
So it's an easy way to use up the rest of the fruits. It's an easy way to add fruits, more fruits to your child's diet, because that's what a lot of parents are always looking for. So win-win again, right? So, and then finally, one last thing I'd like to share is being able to read and understand labels. So when you buy packaged goods, usually things come with either an expiry date or a best before date. And some people see a best before and think, oh, once the date has reached, I can't use it anymore. But there's a difference. With expiry, that's a hard cutoff, right? But whereas with best before, it just means that after this date, exactly. So you can still use it. So you don't have to throw out that food. You don't have to waste it.
How long more can you use it after best before? Let's not leave people totally off.
Yeah. So it depends on the item, right? So it really depends. But usually you can actually go as far as even 6 months. But trust your instinct. So taste it, smell it, just gauge it that way.
It's changing form or taste and all that.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can reduce your house waste by doing number of these things.
This. Amazing. I think 4 amazing tips that will definitely work if you actually just put it to practice. Now, let me take you back to planning now, right? I know, so I just want to ask, like just off the top of your head, what would you say a proper planning, let's say for a week, or should I say 2 weeks or to a month, what should it look like?
So it depends on what your family likes to eat. So if your family likes the typical Nigerian family, there are certain staples that are always there. So your rice, your beans, your yam. What style of rice are you making this week? If it's fried rice, then there are certain vegetables you need. If it's jollof rice, there are certain other things that you need. So you want to fix in those staples, right? And then besides the staples, you also want to have some snacks or some nutritious snacks. Let me put it that way, because we tend to confuse snacks with treats nowadays. So what kind of nutritional gaps are you going to be filling with? Let's say with fruits or vegetables. Don't go and buy a whole bunch of bananas and then a big watermelon and a pineapple. Chances of finishing that might be tough.
True.
So focus on one this week, and then next week you can go ahead and buy the other one, right? So just depending on your family size, use your staples, add in some nutritional things that you know you will consume within the week. And
so would you say it's best to plan for a week or a month? Shorter or longer?
It depends on the individual. For me, for example, I plan for every 2 weeks, right? Although I shop for the month, and then we do the cooking for like 2 weeks. So that's what works for me. So every family, try it out and then see what works best for you.
So now I'm cooking for like 2 weeks. You talk about preservation as well, because a lot of people are like, okay, fine, it's good to cook. I mean, yeah, of course, in bulk and store away and all of that. So people talk about now some people talk about freezing and unfreezing foods. And people say, okay, fine, when you cook something like rice, for instance, make sure you consume it within a particular number of days or things like that. So how do you balance all of that? Because I know those are some things that people struggle with at times as well. Because like if you store rice for like, let's say like 4 or 5 days, you might not have the same texture and all of that. So how do we balance that out?
Fantastic. So again, with Nigerian staple meals, a lot of our soups, stews are good things that you can easily freeze.
Yes.
One thing that works well for me when I cook in batches, I store in small containers because you're right, you don't want to freeze and defrost, refreeze, right? So store in smaller containers so you can take out a portion and just finish it. And then for things like the rice, you can boil on the go. So you don't have to cook that in. It doesn't take a lot of time to cook that as well. So you just do that as you need it.
Right. All right, amazing. Thank you so much for amazing tips. We'll definitely be trying now. Thank you so much, and definitely looking forward to our next edition with you as well next week.
Thank you.
All right, guys, you heard that, right? So do everything you need to make sure you cut down wastage in your home. And that's it on nutrition for today. We'll continue next week. But we're going to a quick break, and when we come back, so much more still happening right here on Wake Up Nigeria. Welcome back to your favorite breakfast show, Wake Up Nigeria. It is the second hour. And of course, if you're just joining us, you've definitely missed one whole hour. We're not going to get back.
Yeah, but not to worry, okay? We have even more amazing content packed in the next 45 minutes. Yes, we're sure of that.
Yes, of course, the first hour was definitely amazing. We had amazing interviews and staples. And of course, we have Titi in the kitchen. Hi, Titi, how you doing?
Hello, ladies. Good morning. So far, so good right here in the Wake Up Nigeria neighborhood. And there's still more to come, as they've already said. I can't wait for us to get to it, though, right?
Yes, of course. Yes. And we're going to definitely jump right into it. But first off, my name is Winfrey Agbeleshe.
And my name is Mary Bashua Alimi. Talking about what we have in store for you this hour. Yes. Before we do so, remember you can use the hashtag WakeUpNigeria on TVC across all social media platforms. And of course, you can find us on social media at TVC Entertainment _.
Yes, of course. And of course, it's still August and we love celebrating you. So make sure you stick around because we have birthday shout outs coming up.
All right.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so Winfrey is the pageantry expert here. And we've been hoping to consult her on this trending matter. Okay, so it has been in and out of the news, really. The young lady who went for Miss South Africa, the Nigerian lady that went for Miss South Africa and apparently dropped out because of the backlash she was getting from that
forced
community.
to drop out.
Was she forced? I didn't have a clarification on that, whether she was forced to or she chose to. I'm not sure.
She was forced to because she made the choice due to all the pressures at that time. So it was more or less that she was forced to. It wasn't something she would have willingly done. So that's why it's forced.
Yeah. First of all, I think this conversation is something that cannot be done in like such a short period because there's a lot of intricacies, ins and outs of it and everything. However, what I'll say is, I mean, I feel it's definitely a tough time for her. I actually did get in the chart with her, and then again, she's doing okay, is what's most important now. But I think what's also worthy of notice is the fact that Miss Universe Nigeria also invited her over to participate in Miss Universe Nigeria for 2024, and she's considering and contemplating taking that move because, I mean, of course, we love our own and we'll always celebrate no matter what the parts of the planet you're definitely from. So
Miss Universe Nigeria invited her to
that's Silverbird.
compete. Yes, to compete.
Compete.
Yeah.
Please, let's just take a look at the weather.
Oh, wow. You do me like cold water. And as I said before, may they never pour cold water on your body. This relationship matter. Speaking of relationships, one of the experts is back. Miracle Ihuoma is a dynamic speaker, author, clinical psychologist, life coach, and spiritual shepherd. Now, he's worked with different individuals, families, organizations as a family life therapist for over a decade. And as a conference speaker for over 13 years, he's been doing this back to back, and he's been contributing to our show as well. Today's topic is a deep one: understanding the need for personal space in relationships. Welcome back to the show, Miracle.
Thank you. It's good to be back again.
Okay, so how dare you ask for personal space? Are we not in a relationship? Why do you need personal space? If you want personal space, why are you in a relationship now? Yeah, they go your day now. I make a day my day.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, that's not totally true because while we're in a relationship, everyone should still maintain their individuality.
Okay.
That's very, very important because nothing beats your individuality. Nothing beats who you are. Being in a relationship is a role. Your individuality is your identity, and that you must maintain no matter what. Okay. So it's important that, so what we encourage is interdependence, not total dependence or total independence, but interdependence.
Okay,
yeah,
that's an interesting angle. This interdependence, I guess there's certain aspects that you lean on your partner for.
Yes.
But in terms of personal space, maybe we should define what it actually is, what it represents. So, personal space, is it my phone? Is that my personal space? Is that my privacy? Is it my wardrobe? Is it the time I spend in the bathroom? Is that my personal space? What are you defining as personal space now?
Yes, so personal space will differ from person to person.
Okay.
So every individual in a relationship will find out what that personal space is for your partner. So for one person, it can be their wardrobe, like you said. For another person, it's in the restroom. I was reading something humorous the other day on Facebook where somebody said that he will never understand how partners, sit in the toilet together. Maybe one person is, pooing and the other person is right there.
Okay.
They will never understand it. He's been married for many years, and for him, that is personal space. He doesn't want that interaction in that space. So for that person, that's his personal space, right? And that's why relationships should be seen from the prism of what is attainable in your own relationship.
Okay.
Because if you, that we talked about last week about how people compare themselves to other relationships.
Yeah.
Because if you see somebody, for instance, who maybe using the same toothbrush with their partner, and
wow.
then, yeah,
That's a bit, no. Same toothbrush?
Yes, their partners who use the same toothbrush and they don't see anything wrong with it. For some other person like you, it's you know, in that sense.
Okay. All right. So figuring out what your own personal space is and actually sharing it with your partners is also another thing.
Yes.
A lot of people are probably a little anxious about sharing this thought with their partner, maybe because it might scare them off. It might make them seem maybe like they have OCD or something like that. Or make it seem like they're hiding something, as with
cell phones.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why, because at the end of the day, if you keep whatever it is that you consider a personal space for you from your partner, it will still tell on the relationship,
of course,
and it will come back to bite you. So it's important for you to just air it and then deal with whatever their response is at that particular time, right? Because I understand that, you know, when it comes to personal space and things like that, you know, there are 4 attachment styles when it comes to relationships.
Okay.
So we have the secure attachment.
Okay.
We have the anxious attachment style. We have the avoidant attachment style. We have the disorganized, which are those people who are both anxious and avoidant. Our attachment styles are basically how people are able to bond in relationships, how they are able to form intimacy in relationships. So for the avoidant is the person who is scared of having that close-knit relationship. So they are always avoiding anything that brings about intimacy. For the anxious is the person who is clingy.
Yeah.
Maybe because of past experience, they have had people who maybe cheated on them or betrayed them or something like that.
They become monitoring spirits.
Exactly. They want to hold on to the partner and they are sniffing around, you know, what are you saying? What are you doing? Where are you? And things like that. Yeah, but the, and of course, there's disorganized where you don't even know where you are. There's a pull.
Yeah, and there's a push.
And there's a push.
Yeah.
Right? So you are sometimes anxious, sometimes you are avoidant. But the most secured is, or the best is secured, where you don't have a problem with intimacy, but you don't also have a problem with independence, while we're being on your own when it is needed, and allowing the other person their own space to breathe and to be who they are as well.
Okay. So when we started the conversation, we tagged it understanding the need for personal space. So this is something that each person needs. But the question now is, what is too much personal space?
Exactly.
When does it become a bit too much?
Yes. So so the person who has an avoidant attachment style would be the person who would be considered as having too much of personal space, because they would always want to be on their own. They would avoid, you know, serious conversations. They would avoid intimacy and things like that. When that is the case, that is now too much, because you are in a relationship with somebody else, and there must be a difference between when you are single and when you are in a relationship. Because when you're in a relationship, there has to be a difference, because when you're in a relationship, you're sharing your life with somebody else. So it can't be exactly as you were when you were single, where you had all the time to yourself, where nobody asked you, or you know, you were not accountable to anybody and things like that. So that healthy boundary is very important.
Okay. When it comes to the need for personal space, if your partner is not giving you any at all, if you feel choked or stifled, what is the first thing you're supposed to do?
Communication. So you want to communicate it to your partner, right? And tell them, you know, let them see why this is needed, because a lot of people don't even see it. They don't see why, just like you said, why would you need a personal space? We are dating, or we are married, or whatever it is. But then you need to let them know why you need your personal space. Sometimes you need it to recuperate. Sometimes you need it to rejuvenate and then come back into the relationship refreshed. The same thing with work, the same thing with life in general. We all need personal spaces sometimes to recuperate and rejuvenate and then come back refreshed and more productive in the relationship. Because if they don't give give that to you, it will ultimately tell on the relationship because to be strained, to be stressed, and then you will snap easily, you will become touchy, you become edgy, and it's going to affect your relationship with them. So they need to see it, so you need to communicate to them.
Okay, so let's move into marriages now. I've heard of some very happy couples, and I use the happy in quote from what we see, what we hear, who it's discovered down the line that they don't even share a bedroom. You know, daddy has their own room, mommy has their own room, and they live in the same building, and they're happy. They go to church together, they do everything else
You're wondering
together.
how they have children.
And exactly. So having your own room as a spouse, is that a taboo or is that okay in terms of personal space and boundaries? What do you think?
So his man is own, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with it, you know, and I don't think, so if it works for them, well, if it is not broken, don't fix it. That's the rule of the thumb when it comes to counseling people and even giving advice. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So if it works for them and they have 2 separate bedrooms and they're not complaining to you, they are happy, they are quote unquote happy, then it means it's okay.
Okay. All right. So it's not a taboo. It's not like there's a problem somewhere or someone is trying to hide something. Okay. All right. Fantastic.
For somebody else, that might not be obtainable. You might be like, oh, why would I have a separate bedroom? If that doesn't work for you, do what works for you. And there are people who it works for, actually.
All right, Miracle, it's always a pleasure having you in the building. Hopefully we've given more answers than questions in today's segment, but it is a questionable conversation, personal space, and understanding that, you as an individual in a relationship actually might need it. Let's take a quick break. There is still more on Wake Up Nigeria. A challenging condition to live with.
And an average parent will say, oh, that child is just an olodo. An average teacher will say, this one does not even know anything. But sometimes I ask myself, do you guys do research? Do you try to understand the children you're teaching, the children you're raising? But then she did mention that access to specialists to actually help you diagnose this might also be part of the problem. Well, for everyone experiencing this, I really hope you eventually get the access to help that you need. And I know there's an Indian movie that really talks about this. I can't remember the title, but it's something that would definitely encourage anyone suffering from dyslexia.
At this point, we are wrapping up the show, but we're going to be back again tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. As always, right here on Wake Up Nigeria.
Goodbye.
Bye.